Hi, welcome to the workshop. In today's video we're going to take a departure from the workshop build that we've been doing for the last few weeks, and I'm going to build a bird table. I'm going to build it out of a single piece of 2x4 timber. It's going to be very simple, just glue and some screws, no fancy joinery. So I've done a drawing in SketchUp. I've also done a detailed cutting plan, and we're going to be following that. I'll put a link in the description below, so please have a look at that. You can download a free copy for yourself if you'd like to build one of your own. Okay, so let's get started. So here's the drawing that I've come up with in SketchUp. I've added a couple of little interesting details just to make it a little bit different. I've got these little plant pot holders on the side here, and I've also possibly going to make the roof into a little bird box. I've done a cutting plan of all the components that make up this bird table, and in the download link below in the description you'll be able to download a free copy of this plan if you want to make your own. So I'm going to get started with some 2x4 timber. This is just a construction grade timber. It's nothing fancy, it's a garden ornament, so it doesn't have to be too pretty. And then what I've done initially is I've taken a length of this 2x4 and I've ripped it in half on the table saw, so this gives me 2x2 stock roughly, and this is what I'm going to use to build the majority of the table with. There's a little tip to find the centre of this piece of wood. I know this is roughly 2x4, so if I measure in 2 inches from this side and measure in 2 inches from the other side, I've now got 2 marks. Obviously they're not in the centre, but I know that in the middle of those 2 marks is exactly in the centre, which is 1 7/8 inches, and then from this side it's 1 7/8 inches.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Right, I've got the table saw set up now to rip this 2x4 in half. I've got the saw blade just above the height of the wood, and I've got the fence set so that my pencil mark is going to be right in the middle of the blade, so hopefully I'll end up with 2 pieces of wood exactly the same width. There we go, 2 bits of timber now, exactly the same width, and that's what I'm going to use for the bulk of the bird table. That's all the 2x2 pieces cut to length. We've got the 4 pieces for the legs, 2 braces for the legs, and then 6 additional braces for the table, and also supports for the little plant pot holders. And then we've got the main support leg for the table, which is 1200mm long. They're all now cut according to the cutting plan. The next job to do is to put this 45-degree mitre on the end of the leg pieces and all of the braces, and we'll do that at the mitre saw. I've swung the mitre saw over to the 45-degree mark, and now what I want to do is put a 45-degree bevel on the end of all of these leg pieces. And ideally what I want to do is I want to bring the saw down, and I want to run the edge of the saw down this end of the piece of wood here. I don't want to take any length off, but I want the mitre just to finish nice and tight on the end of that piece of wood. So I'll offer the blade up to where I see that it's on the end of the piece of wood. I'll make a little test mark, and then once I'm happy, then I'll plunge it through. And there you can see that finishes right nice on that edge. I haven't taken any length off the timber, but I've got that mitre to finish right on the corner there. That's all the 45-degree mitres cut on the end of all the legs and braces. Now we're just going to do a half lap joint on these 2 leg braces to join these 2 pieces together. I've marked those 2 pieces out. One of the pieces will get cut out to the halfway mark at the bottom, the other piece will get cut out to the halfway mark to the top, and then the two will join together. I did a previous video on how to cut half lap joints two ways using the mitre saw and the table saw, and I'll put a link in the description, and I'll also pop a link up on this video if you want to go and have a look at how to do those in more detail. I'm going to use my homemade belt sander just to take the worst of the splinters off these bits of wood. This sander was built with some plans from Matthias Wandel. I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested in building one of your own. We've sanded all the pieces, so it just remains now to apply some glue, and I'm just going to drill some pilot holes and simply screw all these pieces together. I've got the leg braces screwed on, and now I just want to offer up one of the legs, and there's a point obviously where this mitre is nice and tight and then the leg meets the post. So once I've got that established, I can pencil a mark on the post and then also pencil for my pilot holes for the screws. Just dug some offcuts of ply out of my scrap bin, and I'm going to rip these down to make the little plant boxes. I've got the side pieces for the plant boxes here all cut, ready to assemble. What I've done is I've drilled some holes in the bases of the plant boxes just to allow the water to drain away outside if it rains, or if someone waters a plant, at least it allows some drainage through the bottom of the plant boxes. We're just going to get these glued together. I'm just going to glue them and then pop a couple of brads in just to hold them together. What I've got here now is two of the smaller braces. I've just pre-drilled and countersunk a couple of holes which they'll screw the braces to the post, and I've also pre-drilled some holes in the bottom of the planters which will go into the braces. So I'll fix them now. What we'll also do is pop a screw in here, just ready for fixing to the post. And same with this one. Pop a screw in here. Right, okay, they're ready to be fixed to the post. So there we've got the plant boxes secured to the post. The base is all now complete, screwed together. It just remains now for us to complete the table. I've got the two boards cut, one's for the table, the other one is for the base for the roof. I've taken the table, I've found the centre point of this board, and then I've laid out a square which is the post. I'm just going to drill a hole in here, and with the jigsaw I'm just going to cut this square out. I've attached the braces to the tabletop, slid the whole assembly over the top of the post, down 6 inches from the top, and then screwed the braces into the upright post, and that's now securely fixed the table. I've got the pieces cut that are going to form the roof section. What I've done is I've taken the end gables, I've drilled a 32mm hole, which should be good enough for your blue tits, cold tits, even your house sparrows, but nothing bigger than that, no starlings or anything like that. I've also taken a small piece of 12mm dowel, I've drilled a hole, and I've actually sanded that down just to make that a nice tight fit, and that will be a little perch for them to hop onto to get into the hole. It's important to keep the hole a good sort of 120mm above the bottom of your nest box, because it will stop the little chicks from crawling out and falling out before they're due to fly the nest. So these sections will then get drilled, screwed and glued to the roof as such. I've also got a centre brace, because what I'm hoping to create here is 2 separate little nesting boxes in the roof section, and then all I'm going to do is put a couple of sheets of ply, which is going to be the main structure of the roof, with a couple of ridge members in here. I'll make that removable so that you can get in here to clean it out if you ever needed to, and then I'm probably just going to finish the roof with some felt, which I'm going to cut into little shingles. Okay, so what I've got here now is I've put the end gables glued and screwed to the roof section. I've also just mitered a little support frame, because the top of the post is going to go in here, so I've just put some additional wood battens on there, just mitered, and then brad and glue to glue those on there, just to give the top of the post a bit more support. And then what you'll notice as well is I've also pre-drilled some holes here. I'm going to drive some long screws down into here, into the top of the post, to secure the roof, so there's no way that's going to come off. I've cut the 2 sheets of ply for the roof. I've put a small overhang of about 3/4 of an inch on either side, and I've also extended them a little bit beyond the same amount at the bottom here, just to allow any rain or whatever to run off without running down the sides of the roof. I've applied some glue just onto those ridge members off of this section of roof up. Make sure that it's flush. We've got an equal overhang on either side, and then we'll just pop a few brads in there. And then we'll do the same on the other side. Put some glue on this side of the ridge. roof panel on this side, I did make it longer just by the thickness of this board, so that I could just overlap this ridge so that it was actually covering the other panel. There we go. One of the final touches I'm going to do just before I put the roof on for the last time is I'm just going to mitre some small strips, glue and brad them to the edge of the table, and that's going to stop any seed or anything just rolling off the edge of the table. Another successful build. Really happy with the way this turned out. It just remains to put some water-based finish on this just to give it a bit of protection from the elements before it goes outside. There's a link in the description for the free plans for this bird table if you want to make your own. Please don't forget to subscribe, because there'll be a lot more videos coming on a weekly basis. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.